The light side of Gemini is full mental integration. So both hemispheres of the brain, hemispheric integration it's called. We have one that's a masculine, more logical side of the brain you'd use for architecture, building, mathematics, science, and then the feminine side of the brain, more intuition, art, creativity, decorating life, musical. So Gemini, when it's at its absolute best, is full integration and balance and harmony of both masculine and feminine sides of your mind specifically. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the sign of intellect, genius, thoughts, communication, technology. So Gemini at their absolute best in their light side is utilizing both sides of their mind, utilizing their voice, utilizing technology to create a positive rippling effect out into duality, right? When we discussed the shadow side of Gemini in the other video, we're talking a lot about the negative side of duality. But the positive side of duality is understanding it, understanding there is light and there is dark, metaphorically and physically. And Gemini is able, when it's fully integrated and mastered, to be able to bring forth a consciousness, communication, technological innovation that balances light and darkness, that balances masculine and feminine. So in this sense, there's a positive relation with Libra that's trying to seek balance. And a Gemini who is mentally integrated is able to see both sides of every situation and is able to differentiate right from wrong, and maybe some things that are culturally wrong are actually morally right, or in that moment, or in a Machiavellian sense, in the long run, the right thing to do. So an example of somebody who is utilizing the sign of Gemini for a positive experience, a positive gift through the self to the world, is Prince. Prince is a absolutely fantastic, extremely skilled musician, vocalist, and in the time period in which he was at his peak, at his pinnacle in the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, technological innovations were starting to move forward. And every time he got up on stage or every time he got up on a microphone, he was offering his voice in a way that was helping others. So Gemini, in its positive vibration, is giving credit to others, giving validation, giving reassurance, giving wisdom, giving light, and giving acknowledgement and gratitude to others with their voice, with their technological usage in their life. So throughout his life, you could see that he stood up against tyranny vocally. He offered a lot of really great bits of wisdom that could help people personally. And then when he was writing, which Mercury, Gemini also rules over writing, typing, he was writing poetry and writing music that could touch the deepest parts of your soul. So that's a really positive, integrated Gemini, somebody who's not just utilizing duality for their own gain, they're utilizing duality for the assistance of others, for the upliftment and enjoyment of others. And that being said, he had a heavy darkness to him as well. I mean, being famous, a lot of people say you have to sell your soul, or, at least metaphorically, to these corrupt companies. And so in that sense, he was in that darkness and sharing that light. So he was in this very corrupt system and had become corrupted in some ways himself, but then was using that duality to create positive influences in the world. And this is sort of that matrix dynamic, which is also relative to Gemini. So Gemini is technology. So Gemini is the matrix. Gemini is the machine that we've created. In its most dark side, it can be like the Matrix, where it's just this vampiric machine that's trying to suck all the life and soul out of everybody and everything. But in its positive, it can be like Neo. So even Prince talks about this. He talks about use the computer, don't let the computer use you. You all saw the Matrix. So that's a heroic, positive Gemini, somebody that's coming in, seeing the negative aspects of Gemini, seeing and feeling the negative influences of technology and our words and our actions that come about through our words and through our energy and through our thoughts that really are the building blocks, those vibrations. So he chose to talk out about it, and perhaps that is what got him killed, but that's an entirely another story, is that when you talk about good things in a corrupt society, you're going to be targeted. And that selflessness is something that Gemini has to reach up for. And that's something that Prince achieved in his lifetime. And he's a great example. Another great celebrity example is Tupac Shakur. Tupac was starting out in that darkness, in that soul selling, kind of corrupt gangster rap, influencing people in a negative way. And then he shifted over, got his soul back, started making music from the soul, and started talking about inspiration, talking about respect one another, love one another, and then again gets killed for it. So selfish Gemini is just going to use their media and their music and all of these mercurial things, their image, their vocal image, to self-serve. But somebody who's taking positive steps forward, like Prince, like Lauryn Hill, like Tupac Shakur, all Geminis, taking that soul and that love and that high frequency and putting it down into the darkness, into the duality, and not being afraid to talk about what's happening in the wars and what's happening with drugs and the different industries that are taking advantage of people. So those are some people in the spotlight that are, in a lot of ways, not always, in that higher consciousness, that light side of Gemini. Utilizing your technology wisely is another really important aspect of the light side of Gemini. So somebody who has really firm boundaries with their phone, with their computer, with their video games, they use it for enlightenment, social connection, sharing information, all things that are going to benefit the world, joy, a little bit of humor, rather than doom scrolling and the shadow of Gemini, just being on Instagram all day, every day, being on video games all day, every day. Light side of Gemini can utilize technology in a positive way for communication energetically, communication through art, communication through words, communication through music. All of these messages are coming through Gemini. Gemini is, again, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the god of communication, also known as Hermes. So taking that light from the sun, spinning it and sharing that to the earth through the solar system. Getting balanced so that you're aware and integrating your shadow, you're aware and integrating your light, you're aware and integrating your masculine, and you're aware and integrating your feminine. Being able to give and receive in communication harmoniously, diplomatically, is the highest form. The perfect diplomat is the highest form of Gemini, and being able to utilize words in a way that creates a very positive, in the short term and long term, dynamic in the world within and around you.